When a pilot sank a submarine to avenge a friend. The story of Lieutenant Clarence Dickinson. On the morning of December 7, 1941, the world changed forever. It was a day destined to be etched into history as a day that will live in infamy. Amid the chaos of the surprise attack on Pearl Harbor, Lieutenant Clarence Dickinson and his wingman, John McCarthy, were ordered to take off from the USS Enterprise in their SBD Dauntless dive bombers. Unaware of the devastation awaiting them, these two pilots flew directly into the heart of the assault, facing overwhelming odds and unimaginable danger. This is the gripping story of courage, loss, and vengeance that unfolded in the skies above Pearl Harbor, and how one pilot's determination led to the sinking of a Japanese submarine in retaliation for a fallen comrade. The fateful flight toward Pearl Harbor. Lieutenant Clarence Dickinson and his wingmen were given orders by Admiral Halsey to fly their Dauntless dive bombers to Pearl Harbor. As they approached, Dickinson noticed an ominous smoke cloud rising from the base. At first, he assumed it was a controlled burn or gunnery practice, even joking, "The Army's gonna catch hell for that." However, the truth was far more dire. Black puffs of anti-aircraft fire soon revealed that Pearl Harbor was under a vicious surprise attack by the Imperial Japanese Navy. Suddenly, two Japanese Zero fighters emerged from the smoke, diving toward the American planes. Though the Dauntless dive bombers were ill-equipped for dogfighting, the battle was unavoidable. The Zero's 20mm cannons raked the sky, targeting Dickinson and McCarthy with deadly intent. McCarthy's plane was hit, pouring oil before bursting into flames. Dickinson's gentler evasive maneuvers allowed his rear gunner, Miller, to fire back, scoring hits on one of the attackers. A desperate battle in the skies. The dogfight intensified with the Japanese fighters pressing their advantage. Despite repeated attacks and accumulating damage to his aircraft, Dickinson remained determined. Miller, his rear gunner, emptied all 6 cans of ammunition defending their Dauntless. Dickinson's thoughts drifted back to a conversation earlier that day on the USS Enterprise, a bittersweet exchange filled with camaraderie and hope. "It's our last flight together. Don't get me wet, sir." Dickinson had promised to keep Miller safe, but fate had other plans. As the aircraft became uncontrollable and entered a deadly spin, Dickinson ordered Miller to jump. Unable to disconnect the radio, Dickinson finally broke the cable and leapt from the doomed plane at just 800 feet. His parachute deployed just in time, and he landed alone on a field near Ford Island. Miller, tragically, did not survive. The aftermath on the USS Enterprise. Back aboard the USS Enterprise, Admiral Halsey was furious and resolute. The attack on Pearl Harbor had been a devastating blow, but the American forces were not defeated. Halsey immediately ordered all hands to battle stations and pushed to refuel and resupply the Enterprise to get it back out to sea within 6 hours. The men aboard the Enterprise, especially Dickinson, were burning with a fierce desire for revenge. Without mentioning his own harrowing experience, Dickinson reported for duty and was ordered to take another Dauntless to patrol the ocean in search of the Japanese fleet. Though the enemy fleet had slipped away, submarines remained a lurking threat, patrolling the waters around Hawaii. The hunt for the Japanese submarine I-70. 3 days after the attack, the opportunity for retribution came. A Japanese I-70 submarine was spotted on the surface, recharging its batteries. An Enterprise pilot alerted the fleet. "Contact enemy submarine." The submarine crew scrambled to dive as the American dive bombers closed in. The first Dauntless pilot dove toward the target with a 1,000-pound bomb armed, but the submarine managed to submerge just before the bomb hit, causing damage but not sinking the vessel. The Enterprise quickly prepared another flight of Dauntless, including Dickinson, now flying with a new gunner to replace Miller. Dickinson's vengeance dive. As Dickinson approached, he spotted the silhouette of the submarine floating on the waves. With cold determination, he radioed, "This is Sail 4. Have sighted the submarine. AM attacking." Armed and ready, he threw his Dauntless into a steep dive toward the target. The Japanese gunners fired relentlessly, tracers streaking through the air and bullets narrowly missing the aircraft. Despite taking hits, Dickinson remained focused, plunging headfirst toward the enemy vessel. The bomb was released, striking the water near the sub and causing a massive explosion. Oil and debris surfaced as the submarine lost power and began to sink. For a tense moment, it was unclear if the sub would go down. Then, a massive ball of bubbles erupted from the sea, confirming the submarine's destruction. Relief and quiet celebration washed over Dickinson and the crew. "This one was for you, Miller," Dickinson said over the radio, honoring his fallen friend with this hard-won victory. Reflection on war and perspective. The sinking of the I-70 was a significant moment. It was the first large Japanese ship sunk after the attack on Pearl Harbor. The USS Enterprise and its pilots had begun the fight back. Yet, the story also invites us to consider the other side of the conflict. What were the Japanese thinking? What were their plans? To understand this perspective, one might watch films like Midway from the Japanese Perspective, exploring the war through a different lens. Lessons from Lieutenant Clarence Dickinson's story. Lieutenant Clarence Dickinson's wartime experience teaches us much about courage, loss, and the relentless spirit of those who fight for their country. Here are some key takeaways from his story. Unwavering courage in the face of danger. Despite being outmatched and under heavy fire, Dickinson and his wingmen engaged the enemy without hesitation. The bonds of brotherhood. The friendship between Dickinson and Miller highlights the deep connections forged in combat and the profound sense of responsibility pilots felt for one another. Determination and vengeance. The loss of a comrade fueled Dickinson's resolve to strike back, leading him to take down a significant enemy target. The importance of persistence. Even after surviving a harrowing dogfight and crash, Dickinson returned to active duty, embodying the resilience of the American forces. The legacy of Pearl Harbor and the USS Enterprise. The attack on Pearl Harbor was a pivotal moment in World War II, thrusting the United States into active conflict. The USS Enterprise, one of the most decorated ships of the war, played a crucial role in the Pacific theater. Pilots like Dickinson not only faced extraordinary dangers but also helped turn the tide with their bravery and skill. The Enterprise's rapid refueling and redeployment after Pearl Harbor exemplify the relentless drive of American forces to respond and fight back. Continuous patrols and attacks on enemy vessels kept pressure on Japanese forces and prevented further incursions. Conclusion. Lieutenant Clarence Dickinson's story is a powerful testament to the courage and sacrifice of those who fought during one of the darkest days in American history. From flying into the chaos of the Pearl Harbor attack, engaging in deadly dogfights, losing a dear friend, to ultimately sinking a Japanese submarine in a quest for vengeance, Dickinson's journey encapsulates the heart of the wartime experience. His actions, alongside those of countless others, remind us of the human stories behind historic events, stories of bravery, loss, and determination that shaped the course of history. As we reflect on these events, we honor the memory of those who served and continue to learn from their example. For those interested in exploring the Japanese perspective of these events, films like Midway from the Japanese Perspective offer valuable insights into the complexities of the war and the motivations of all involved. Lieutenant Clarence Dickinson's tale is not just a story of war, but a story of friendship, resilience, and the enduring spirit of those who stand against overwhelming odds. It's a story worth remembering,